Thank you so much, Rabbi Mark, for inviting me, for inviting Shomer Collective to join you here at IJS today and tomorrow as we prepare, as you said, for our annual dress rehearsal for death on Yom Kippur. Shomer Collective was created from this realization that too many of us wind up in a place of crisis around end of life because we don't know how to talk about and to prepare for the inevitable, and that Jewish wisdom has so much to offer on the topic of death and dying. Our mission is to improve end of life experiences for individuals and their families. And we do that by raising up, elevating Jewish wisdom, values, and practices, curating content and resources, and building a network of amazing organizational partners like IJS. We envision a world where end of life matters are spoken about openly, thoughtfully, frequently, moving beyond the fear into the reality on a daily basis, creating more opportunities for people to engage with the richness of Jewish tradition around death and dying. So I just want to say thank you again for the opportunity to engage today and tomorrow in a mortality focused mindfulness practice here together in sacred community.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Melanie. Really, we're delighted to do this and looking forward to tomorrow's sit as well. And with that, let's turn to our practice for today. And I am really so thrilled and delighted to welcome Cantor Lizzie Shammash, who is our stalwart Jewish yoga studio teacher every Monday. And occasionally we're blessed to have Cantor Lizzie lead us in meditation. And so grateful to you, Lizzie, for leading us today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rabbi Mark. Rabbi Melanie, so glad you're here with us. It's an important day. I invite you to arrive here with me, with our community, in your own body, in your own breath, in your own space today. Maybe you haven't been here for a while, or maybe you sit every day. Maybe you're here with this community every day, but each moment is a new one. So we just take a moment to land, to relax, to check in. How am I right now? How is it right now? And see what's right for you today. Eyes open, eyes closed. Where you want to place your hands. And feel yourself in your seat. So these are our 10 days, these Aseret Yemei Teshuvah, our 10 days of impermanence, of really looking squarely in the eye, our mortality, our finitude, as Mark said. And the liturgy is full of it. Of course, we had Unatan Tokef right in front of us on Rosh Hashanah, who will live and who will die. As Rabbi Alan Luke put it in his book, some of us will die this year, and it might be you, and it might be me. It gives me goosebumps just to say those words. And we don't know. And I want to start by saying this is obviously a very heavy, big topic, and it may not be right for you today. And if it's not, that's okay. Feel free to mute me or just tune me out, and just to be with the group, to be with yourself in whatever way you need today. So if the teaching isn't right for you, full permission to just kind of soften around it and be where you need to be. So as we go through these 10 days, we're wading in a little deeper and a little deeper. And when we get to Kol Nidre, we'll really delve into the Slichot prayers. Ki hine kachomer, as we are in clay in the hands of the potter, and glass in the hands of the glass blower, and silver in the hands of the silversmith, etc. Here we are to be molded. We'll read again. Adam Yesodome Afar Vesofo Le'afar. We came from dust, we're going back to dust. And this is all not just a gloomy meditation to look at death and look at death and look at death, but to really come from it, to arise from it, so that we can be more attuned to our life, to our own vitality, to this pulsating and rich life that we're living in right now. So just to remind us of that. I want to look today at one of the Slichot prayers, Haneshama Lach, the soul is yours, and share with you a melody that I love. I'd like to speak less and sing more and sit more, and really let this melody penetrate into our souls and in our bones. That's what we know of nigunim, right? They're here for dvekut, dvekus, for our really being able to cleave to God. And this is one of those melodies that for me is just so, so special. And I'll guide us through a little bit of meditation on impermanence of breath and sensation. So let's look at this text. Lema'ancha Eloheinu, Aseh velo lanu, and we'll put the transliteration as well into the chat. It's for your sake, God, and not for ours. Re'eh, look at us, see us. Amidatenu da'alim v'reikim, we stand before you weak and empty. Right? We have no more, we can't stand behind our ego and all our masks and all our habit patterns that we put forward. We're just really stripped of it all. We're empty. And we recognize, Haneshama Lach, the soul is yours, it's not mine. The breath, Haneshima, it's yours. V'aguf po'olach, and the body is yours. Chusa alam alach, have compassion. So I'll chant a few times. Feel free to take as you wish. You can sing with me. You can let it wash over you, penetrate you, fill you, just however you would like to participate in the listening. L'mancha Eloheinu Aseh velo lanu Re'eh amidateinu dalim v'reikim Haneshama lach v'aguf polach chusa lamalach Haneshama lach L'mancha Eloheinu Aseh Galim Verekim Shamalach Aguf Polach Husalamalach Haneshamalah. This melody is very, very simple, and I noticed as I was trying to ask, what is it that I love about it that really stays with me? All it does is go up and down the scale. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, and then it turns around 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 2, 1, 7, 1, and then it turns around again 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 7, 1, and then it lands again on the tonic on 1, stable ends, right? So it rises, it goes up the scale, we inhale, it turns, it comes back down the scale, we exhale, it turns, it goes back up the scale, we inhale, we come back down, and we land safely at home on the tonic. So we realize that the breath, it comes, it goes. Sensation, it comes, it goes, right? Arises, stays, abides, and dissolves. And we can't hold the breath, and we can't hold sensation, we can't grasp it and hang on. We can just sit with the rising, abiding, dissolving, passing. So let's do that in our sit. Just feeling the breath coming and going. Haneshamalah ve'aguf polach husalamalach haneshamalah. So for these next minutes, following either your breath coming and going, or arising, abiding, and dissolving sensation in the body, coming and going. You might even anchor yourself at the end of each exhale just by saying to yourself internally, not mine, not mine. This breath, not mine. This soul, not mine. And simply being with this immediate experience of impermanence. And when the mind wanders, as the mind wanders, we can bring it back to all these various sensations of the breath or in the body, these fleeting sensations. Nothing to grasp, nothing to hold. And as you follow the breath or sensation in, out, passing through, you might experiment with, at the end of the exhale, holding the breath out for a moment before you allow the next inhale to come in. Just holding a special awareness today that one day we are aware, I am aware that the breath will leave me. There will be a final exhale. Not today, not right now, but someday. And in deference to that, acknowledgement of that moment, I might hold my breath out and just pause before allowing the next breath to re-enter. And become sensitized to that beautiful gift of the inhale. Shamalach V'aguf polach Chusal Malach Eloheinu aseh velo lanu re'ei amidateinu dalim vereikim Shamalach Aguf Polach Chusal Malach Just coming back to the room as we complete our meditation. I just want to share one final quotation with you from our beautiful Buddhist teacher of blessed memory, Thich Nhat Hanh. He tells us, if you suffer, it's not because things are impermanent. It's because you believe things are permanent. When a flower dies, you don't suffer much because you understand that flowers are impermanent. But you cannot accept the impermanence of your beloved one, and you suffer deeply when she passes away. If you look deeply into impermanence, you will do your best to make her happy right now. Aware of impermanence, you become positive, loving, and wise. Impermanence is good news. Impermanence is an instrument for our liberation. So may we remember as we go through our tefillah on Yom Kippur and through these next days that this rehearsal for our own death is in service of our lives. Gamar Chatima Tova to all of you, and turning it back to Mark.
Thank you so much, Lizzie. So beautiful. And friends, we seal that beautiful practice by offering those of you who are in mourning, observing your site, if it's your custom to join in the Kaddish, to do so, and put the name or names of anyone you're honoring, remembering, holding in your heart today. Put their names in the chat now or after we recite Kaddish. And if you're not reciting Kaddish, to stay present and offer your love and support for those who are. Just to note that the Kaddish, the mourner's Kaddish, well, actually all Kaddishes during this period of the 10 days of turning have an additional word added in the middle paragraph there, where there's la'ela, la'ela, which means higher and higher. So if you are reciting Kaddish, I invite you to join me by rising in body or in spirit, and you can unmute at this time.
Say Kaddish together.
Yitkadal,
Yikadal,
Shemei,
Shemei Rabba,
Yamad Yivach,
Nikaf Mahu
Ayom, Yomei,
Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Friends, thanks for joining us today. Of course, much gratitude to our teacher for today, Cantor Lizzie Shamash, for leading us today. And also, it's a great opportunity to give a shout out for the incredible teaching and work that Lizzie does on Mondays in our Jewish yoga studio. For those of you who have not checked that out, you don't have to be a yogi to do that. A lot of wonderful embodied Torah wisdom from Cantor Lizzie on Mondays at 11 a.m. I want to thank Rabbi Melanie Labab and the Shomer Collective for partnering with us on these pre-Yom Kippur meditations, the second of this two-part series. Tomorrow we'll sit into Shabbat and Yom Kippur, which is known in Torah as Shabbat Shabbaton, the Sabbath of Sabbaths. So we look forward to that tomorrow at 12:30. By the way, I did put the link to our newsletter. I just want to let people know, because people here will be especially interested in this, that Max Bamberger, who was our intern over the summer, wrote a very beautiful blog post about his experience with folks reciting Kaddish in this cacophonous way on Zoom. And people will, I'm sure, really appreciate reading his reflections on that. So I put that's in our newsletter that came out today from IJS, but I just put the link to Max's piece, which is very, very moving. So I want to bring that to people's attention. Thanks to Andrew Schumann also for holding our space today. And of course, you're welcome to stay on for conversation with Lizzie today about this teaching and about the whole concept of mortality as part of our spiritual practice. And if you have a question, you can always put it in the chat. And please preface it by writing question in all caps. Makes it easier to keep an eye, or just share reflections. Thanks, my friend. That was really special, really special. And what a melody. I know maybe you want to say a word just about the melody, because I know some people were asking about it. Eitan Katz, you said?
Eitan Katz, I put it into the chat. There are a couple recordings on YouTube. The one I sent is the studio recording. There's also a live one, which is kind of interesting. This melody was shared with me, I don't know, maybe 6 years ago or so, from Rabbi Sam Feinsmith, Font of All Excellence. And it just is one of those nigunim that is really like worked its way into my heart, into my soul. And I really think of these melodies as friends, like soulmates, and take them with me sometimes for hours at a time. And I encourage you to do the same. Yesterday, I had the incredible blessing to ride a ferry between Nantucket, Massachusetts, and Hyannis. And it was a double blessing because it was sunset in the moment, and that was unplanned. And I sang the chant the entire hour on the ferry and watched the horizon. And I just, we talk a lot about, especially in the yoga studio, about what movement can do in our nervous system to reorient, and music is the same. So I just wanted to give a personal testimonial to say, allow this chant or any chant that you love to sit inside you, really, to take you away from your intellect and just into your being.
Thank you for modeling that. Thanks for sharing that. And next time, invite us on the ferry, because I'm sure we'd all like to share that with you next time. Please. It sounds pretty wonderful. So let's, cut to the chase about this. And the Thich Nhat Hanh quote which captures this idea. There's lots of ways, I think, to understand why this, this. I'm thinking about Roz Chast, the New Yorker cartoonist, who has a wonderful book people should check out if you haven't already, which is about her mother's death, which is called "Can't We Talk About Something More Pleasant?" And it's unpleasant. Melanie, Rabbi Melanie Labov here from Shomer Collective. If you please feel free to chime in also if you'd like. The idea that coming face to face with our impermanence, the impermanence of our loved ones, is spiritually transformative. Not just spiritually transformative, but it transforms our actions. As he says in that quote, like, with recognizing impermanence can evoke a more loving response from us in the moment. So one way of understanding the impermanence is basically to it wakes us up and creates this sense of urgency that we don't have that much time, so we better make good use of the time. But it seems to me that it goes beyond that, right? It's not just about, oh no, not going to be around much longer, so I better. I mean, that could lead to all kinds of things. It doesn't necessarily lead to a more loving response. I'm just gonna like Kohelet, like Ecclesiastes, eat, drink, and be merry, right? So I want to invite you to talk a little bit about that. This question about how does awareness of impermanence, which is something that we fear, and as Alan Liu writes in his book, we avoid generally at all costs and deny and avoid, but actually looking at that which we most fear, how does it change us? And I guess I have something to say about the PU too, but let's start with that.
Yeah, I think it puts us right on the spot in the best way. I mean, you mentioned this sort of like, well, if I'm only living once, like YOLO, I'll just go for it. But I very much think of it the other way. And you spoke of, God moving from kisei din to kisei rachamim in this time, like moving from judgment to compassion. I think just for ourselves too, it helps us move from judgment to compassion. And this sense of being really deliberate in our speech, in our actions, in what we're choosing for the planet,
Right.
in knowing that there really is only this moment and only this limited time in which to say what we need, act as we need, be direct in kindness, of course. Be really fully breath to breath with our loved ones.
That quote where he says our problem is that we live with this illusion that we're of permanence, right? The problem is not impermanence. The problem is that we think things are permanent, or we think our loved ones are permanent, or we're permanent, which implies this sense of control. And I think that's the connection with the Neshama Lach piyut, of recognition that that is the recognition not just of impermanence, but impermanence actually is the realm of the divine. So when we say like the soul is yours, the body is your work, that is, we can experience that when we've broken through the delusion that I'm in charge, like I'm permanent, I'm going to be around forever. Things are going to, and we let go and surrender that illusion, and then we experience ourselves as part of something larger. And I think the theory here of change is that there's an innate love and compassion that is released when we can move into that kind of consciousness, that we're part of something infinitely bigger than ourselves, that is loving, and that we don't have this illusion of separateness and control. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know, like, what's moving for you about that? I mean, the melody, the nigun, like you said, is powerful, but then there's the words that you're singing too.
I don't know if I can put it any more articulately than you are doing, which is just you're right on with it. Um, I think this sense too of amidatenu dalim v'reikim, like
Mm,
we don't have any more tricks up our sleeve.
right.
We can stop. We can really see the delusion. We can stop the ruse,
Hmm.
and then we can just state it. Haneshama lach. It's not
Hmm.
mine. And there's a real freedom in just putting down the ruse, and even if it's only for one day a year. I'm not the master.
Hmm.
I'm not in control.
Um, I'm just scrolling through this. Like, there's like so much love for you, Lizzie. Here, it's just it's very moving to see your fans and Hasidim from your
Somebody
yoga
said,
studio.
Vivian said earlier, by the way, Lizzie, you fixed my shoulder on Monday. So I want to give a shout out. I want to
Yeah.
give a shout out to
See,
Embodied Practice.
miracles happen on Mondays at 11
That's
a.m.
right.
Eastern time. So you don't want to miss that. Um, uh, oh, it's a good question. Here's a good question. Betsy is asking, what if we most fear the death of our other dear ones who may be too young instead of fearing our own death? I mean, you offered that, kind of caveat at the beginning, right? That also just maybe want to go back to that for a moment about it's a heavy topic, it's a heavy theme, and also that was really a very powerful exercise too of kind of extending the breath, and sort of rehearsing our final breath. That's about as real as it gets. um but for some people it may be dysregulating to be in that place, whatever it is, anxieties or fears, or rational or not rational. So what's your advice? Do you have any advice for people for whom this is, yeah, I see where you're going with this, but it's not something that works for me, or I don't know.
My advice is simple, and I say it all the time on Monday. Then do something else. No, really, like some days we can push ourselves, and some days we
Hmm.
can't. And some days we don't need to push ourselves either. Sometimes it's just not where we are, or it's too hard. Like
Hmm.
maybe you don't need this today. Maybe you need to dance.
Hmm.
That's okay. I think there's just, you know, but there was a question from somebody a little bit earlier about being afraid of that you said that
Being afraid about the death of loved ones, especially younger ones, it sounded like. um I don't know, is that what you're referring to?
yeah, well, you were asking. I
Oh
was
yeah,
sort of
yeah. Someone was saying, well, what if I'm not afraid? No, I'm not afraid of my own death, but I'm feeling afraid about the death of others. Um, I guess I'm thinking that actually that it helps me think that Yom Kippur is really like the practice on Yom Kippur is about focusing on ourselves and our own mortality, our own finitude, not to spend that time, in anxiety about the impermanence of others. And I don't know, Melanie, I don't know if you want to add anything here. I see that you're adding a lot of great stuff in the, actually, here, why don't you
Sure.
keep.
On confronting the impermanence, I find it helpful to be reminded, of the traditional daily liturgy. When we wake up in the morning, we offer words of gratitude in recognition that there was no guarantee we were going to wake up this morning, right? And what is that if not a reminder of our impermanence? And saying what needs to be said before we go to sleep at night. Traditionally, we say Shema on the
Mhm.
bed, which I
Right.
call Vidui al Hamita, the end of life confession. The centerpiece of that liturgy is the declaration of faith, is Shema, that God is one. And we do that every night. Maybe more contemporary ways are saying, I love you, or I'm sorry, right? The other things that we need to say before we go to sleep, because we're not guaranteed to wake up tomorrow. And so that's another reminder. What are the things I want to make sure I say before I go to sleep? Because I don't know that I'm going to get to say them tomorrow. I mean, how much more a reminder of impermanence than that every day?
Yeah. It actually ties in with that piyut also, because like that at night we lie down and the liturgy invites us to say, I'm turning over, I'm handing over my soul, my neshama, to the divine overnight. I hope it'll come back in the morning. And then we're thankful for when it does come back in the morning. And the piyut is an acknowledgement of that, the soul's not mine. It's, the soul comes from beyond me, and it will return to a place that's beyond me, and it's in me right now while I'm alive. So, all right, we are at time, but really special, very, very special practice and opportunity. And no, really, I said this on a Facebook post earlier, I can't think of a better way to get ready for Yom Kippur than what we're doing right now. So more tomorrow for those who are so inclined, and we'll look forward to that. Thanks again to Andrew and Melanie. Thank you so much for the partnership with Shammash Collective, and really, Cantor, Lizzie, so much gratitude to you, from us, and wonderful to see the love coming back to you as well. So we hope to see you tomorrow. Many blessings, everyone. If we don't see you, a Shabbat Shalom, a Gemar Chatima Tova. May everyone be sealed for goodness, health, and many blessings in 5784. Be well.